We can see what this is like.
We can see what this is like.
Yeah. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
You always start by asking me that, and I don't even.
Oh, you don't like that.
Well, yeah. Now I've become this fragile white woman who's like, don't even ask me how I'm doing anymore. I've had to tell my mom and you, and Eve, who I do my other podcast with. I've requested that no one ask me how I'm doing anymore. Isn't that hilarious? That's
yeah. Do you know the way when kids are small, they're toddlers, and you have to put a little gate on the stairs? So yeah. We should get one of those for the window for your suicidal thoughts.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. For my emotions, like a gate. Box them all up in my mind. I'm ready to throw them out, really, in the trash. Yeah. I don't know. It's what more is there to be said about it all? I mean, I guess I might as well just get this one thing out of the way, because just seeking any sort of help on it.
We were robbed.
Yeah, robbed, exactly. I'll just throw this out there. If anybody listening is a user of Venmo,
take your money out.
You might want to consider not using the company anymore, because your money is, well, at least in my experience, it's not safe.
It's not safe.
It's not safe. And
they can take it when they want if they don't like you.
Yeah, so basically, how do I just sum this up really quick? I kind of want to do the full in March of 2020, I flew to Australia to do a comedy festival. My flight got canceled. The festival got canceled because of the pandemic. I ended up stuck there for 6 months. Mark was there. In that time, I had an apartment in New York City that contained all of my belongings. I had my roommate, Joe. There's an episode with him. He was living with someone we called Mo. At the time, it was supposed to be a temporary living situation. But then, coronavirus happened, changed everybody's plans. Mo, in June, while we were stuck in Australia, told me that on June 1st, he couldn't pay rent. He left. I hired somebody to go into my bedroom, pack up all of my shit, move it into storage so I could get the room rented out to a stranger. Between Joe and I, we got a girl in the room. She was very nice. She lived there for around 4 months. She gave notice just when we were able to leave Australia.
Oh, yes.
And come to London. So we were in London. I think we had 10 absolutely pain-free days, I think, in London.
Yeah,
about that. Yeah, 10. So so she gave notice. So Joe and I began showing the room again. 3 people went to view it total. 3 were interested. This was also after I dropped the price of the rent, so I was paying for a storage unit for my stuff in my room and paying for some of the rent out of pocket because I had to drop the price because rents dropped in New York. And we got this guy who I won't name. I think we've talked about him before, though, because the cop showed up, and I think we touched on that on a previous episode. But so a man I never met applied for the room. He went and saw the room. He sent me a rental application, a guarantor application, and I said, yes, you can rent the room. I told him the deal. I said, I am abroad. I cannot return. Ideally, I want somebody there for a while, but I don't know what's going to happen with coronavirus. On October 31st, the day he moved in, the cops showed up looking for him because they said he didn't pay his movers. My roommate told me that. I didn't know what to do. We both agreed that since he had just moved in all of his shit, as long as he paid rent, he could stay. Prior to him moving in, I explained, again, my situation. And also on October 31st, that was when the UK announced they were going back into lockdown in 4 days, right? Like at the beginning of November. Yeah. So all of the work that I had sort of booked, for comedy, was effectively done. And that's when I was like, fuck, I need to start selling my stuff in New York for money because, we needed it. Mark was working, but, it's not enough for 2 people. Still isn't enough, haha. And I told this to the gentleman who moved in and my roommate. I began organizing, selling my stuff. And I think it was November 24th. So I think that was like 2 days after Thanksgiving. My roommate Joe gave me notice saying he was going to move at the end of December. So realizing that I could not have two strangers in an apartment that I hold the lease on. Like, Joe was not a stranger to me. He was my roommate, but the other guy was, and he had only lived there 24 days at that point, and the cops had shown up the day he got there. You know, I was like, I have to now break my lease, and whatever is left in the apartment, if I can't sell it, will need to be thrown away. You know, and I lived in New York 15 years. I had a VHS collection. You can imagine what else. I had I had like maybe 85 nail polishes. Anyway, whatever. The guy didn't like that. I had to give him notice. He felt that in December, he paid me rent December 1st, but then like on December 10th or something, he said that he felt like he was entitled to half of his rent back because I had to sell my stuff. And I told him that the rent had been paid to the landlord and that he was not entitled to my stuff. He had his stuff, and if they needed anything else, they could buy it for themselves. And basically he left and Joe left, and I broke the lease with the landlord, who graciously let me out of my 2-year fucking lease I signed for January 2020. And I thought that was that. But then March 24th, Venmo deducted $1,000 from my account because the man renting my room 24 days later, or I guess on March 17th, so St. Patrick's Day, he filed a claim stating that it was an unauthorized payment. And Venmo sided with him without contacting me, without asking me for anything I have, which I have a sublease agreement, a rental application, a guarantor application. I have emails back and forth. I have emails between Joe and I have text messages. I have everything proving that he lived there. Venmo won't tell me what he said. They won't speak to me on the phone. They won't. They communicate with me via email. They told me I need to file a police report. I've attempted to file a police report in New York City from London, but they won't let me file a police report on the phone, in spite of the fact I can't travel due to coronavirus. All of this has happened due to coronavirus. And basically, that $1,000 was just my money from selling my stuff. So I guess I've just now paid this kid's rent.
Well, $1,000 worth of dildos, probably.
Yeah, $1,000 worth of dildos.
And child porn.
A friend of mine who, you know, I guess...
And poppers, child porn, and dildos.
A friend of mine who went to law school.
If you think about it like that, that's like kind of money well spent, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, I think that's what we would have spent the money on, actually, if we had it. It was some of the last of the money I have left. It's been pretty emotional, I'm not going to lie. A friend of mine who's a lawyer and also a comedian did call his work because I gave him the work information. And
we have the work information. We should put it out
we have a lot of
our listeners, and they can contact.
He filled out, I have a lot of information. I don't want to hurt this person. It is my preference they would have paid their own rent. I understand this was not an ideal situation for anybody. It was not... If Joe had not given notice, they both could have lived there and furnished the apartment themselves. But Joe didn't want to live there, which is fine. That's his choice. But then I couldn't do, you know, I couldn't put in a new stranger and just be like on the line for these people that I've never met before, you know. But, you know, I think the other sort of tough thing. So my friend who I guess like went to law school or took the bar, he did call his work, and whoever he spoke to called me a piece of shit. So it's like, it's really funny because like on top of just the incessant hammering from what basically started in November 2019 with, you know what, and then it started going on with coronavirus, whatever, it's just been nonstop. So it's just funny, like full circle. It's just like, I'll put it this way, like I'm trying to do the Wim Hof breathing now because currently, you know, I don't even really want to go down this, but it's like, it's hard to sort. It's already hard enough to live in the world, like it was prior to coronavirus, right? Like the world's
It's a tough place.
World's a tough place. You know, you got to carve your way in there, find a way to be happy. And I feel like for myself, I had done a pretty good job of that. I really liked my life and I worked really hard for it. Like, there was nothing just handed to me. And I was lucky to have like a supportive mom. You know, I didn't have a dad, but I did have a mom who loved me very much and who let me kind of like be my own person. This entire year has been this exercise of trying to have like radical acceptance that no matter what I do or any steps I take, it has not improved my situation. Any steps I've taken to mitigate loss or emotional strife has not worked. And it's been pretty wild. Like 24 hours ago, the thought that gave me the most comfort was trying to find a place that would assist in my suicide, you know? So it's like, it's not over $1,000. It's just like when it all stacks up and then you're sitting in a lockdown, which we still are, and there's no real like tangible hope on the other side. You know, you obviously have to find it within. So that's kind of, I don't know, you know, I just wanted to share if anybody happens to know anyway, you know, I could maybe get Venmo to speak to me. That would be great. But
I'll just take money out of Venmo. I think you should take money out of Venmo anyway.
Well, I've done that. Yeah. I mean,
I think anyone we know should know that.
That is the thing. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because the few people, out of all the people I've told, only one person has actively stopped using Venmo. And I'm like, are you not hearing me? Like, if this can happen to me, this can happen to you. Like, I did everything right. I have all the paperwork that proves this man was renting a room in my apartment, and yet he got a free month of rent. I've lost $1,000.
But we know we can just contact his place of employment.
I don't want to. You know, that's the thing. At the end of the day, you really like.
It doesn't make a difference.
I mean, this is a theme here. Like, to be honest, like there have been quite a few instances in the past, you know, over a year now, where I feel like that people have sort of done or reacted to me in a way that felt, you know, aggressive or like unnecessary, you know, and out of my control. Just sort of like their response, whether, you know, a variety of things, like, you know, whether it was the people we were renting from taking money from us, whether it was receiving emails from somebody I don't know, whether it was this man doing what he did, whether it was the guy paying my, you know, living in my room who told me he couldn't pay rent. I mean, all of these things were things kind of like I had little control over. Because you can't control other people and you can only control how you respond. And, you know, I do feel really beaten down. I kind of feel like, man, it's been a struggle, and then, you know, not being allowed to kind of go out and cultivate a life that you are proud of and that you enjoy anymore, which is sort of where we've been for the past year, where we haven't been allowed to go anywhere or do anything. We've been in a lockdown the majority of the time. You know, it's hard to kind of find the things to keep
Dawson's Creek.
To keep you going. Dawson's Creek.
It's actually a better show than what I remember.
Well, you like it because it's not like, it's like almost woke, but not. There was like an entire episode where...
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Where the butt of the joke was Pacey trying to convince people... Or
his brother was gay.
Trying to convince his teacher he was fucking that his brother was gay.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I mean, it was a real... I missed the 90s.
Yeah, no, the 90s. Yeah, me too. Simpler times, you know, youthful.
No bullshit online banks that can scam you.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And what your point I think you're getting to is like, after everything that happens, it's like, what's the point even trying to enact revenge? It just seems like...
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like, it
seems like you're just opening the door for more repercussions or some shit.
I don't want to feel like the negativity or in my... I don't want that burden of feeling bitter and hateful towards people that have sort of done things to me, you know, actively, that felt like very much out of my control, that like in spite of my best efforts didn't mitigate the issue. It either made it worse or just affected me more negatively, you know? Like, I'm trying to, I mean, it's very new for me, because I've just always been the type of person to be like, all right, I don't like my situation. I will make the adjustments and make it better. If I need money, I will get a second job. I'll get a third job. I'll do whatever. And, you know, so this is just now this like place where it's like, okay, like, having to acknowledge like all of it is completely out of my control. And I don't know, I guess I just got to like breathe enough to put myself into a coma for like, 10 minutes at a time. And maybe that will make it okay. And I know it's been really hard on you, and I'm sorry, but you've been really wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's been okay. Then, just hitting the sauce pretty heavy lately, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I come home steamed up.
You did come home. You came home you came home
sleep
drunk.
for 14 hours. That was something like that.
That was pretty. Yeah, you came home drunk and you passed out on the couch for 5 hours. I think 4 or 5 hours, and I was not happy. I think that was the day that.
You tossed all my shit in the hallway.
I didn't. Well, no, I tossed your work shit in the hallway because I was going to burrow in the bedroom. And listen to your Eurythmics, I Saved the World Today on repeat and fantasize about hanging myself. Like, that's truly what I was doing in there for 5 hours, You really come up with, like, a lot of ideas. But what it's not even that good of a song, but I was watching.
I don't like it.
I know, you really don't like it. Can you tell me why you don't like it?
I just don't like her voice.
You don't like Annie Lennox's voice?
I don't think so.
It like the deep female voice?
I just thought
like
that one
mine?
in particular. No, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
what?
No, it's not that. I think it's
Is it because does she
I just
remind
don't like
you of
that.
me?
No, I just don't like that band. I don't think really. I don't care for them.
Sweet Dreams.
I don't care. For them
there's a band called Squeeze. Well, Sweet Dreams. Wait, what is it? Squeeze has a song called Take Me, I'm Yours, and Eurythmics uses like kind of the same guitar riff or something, but it was originally from Squeeze.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's a fact I used to throw out at parties.
And did people remain in the conversation for much longer?
I just had a blackout because I was like, conversations with anyone other than you, like, well, what is this you speak of? But how are you?
I'm good. Now that I've got back into Dawson's Creek, episode 2, season 1.
You'd sort of fallen off for a while, and now you're back.
Yeah, I've fallen off for about 20 years, and now I'm not even sure. It's weird. I think I might never have watched it. I'm familiar with Dawson.
You used to jerk off to him?
No. Oh. No, but one thing, you can get into him, that character Dawson, who's a bit of a he's a bit of a tampon, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Dawson
he's like the
worst
worst fucking character you could come up with. Like, he's autistic.
He's a wet tampon.
Yeah, he's a wet tampon.
Not used, just wet. So it's like unusable.
Yeah, with his shitty hair and his choker. And his
his
flowy
beaded
shirt.
Necklace, and
always trying to say the right thing, even though his mom's a bit of a dirtbird, and his dad's a fucking loser.
Yeah, well, I mean, hello, now you get why you have Dawson. No, but he he loves Spielberg, and there's nothing wrong with loving Spielberg because Spielberg did make some good movies, but it's like, I don't know, he's such like a fucking, white bread, bland. He's
a fucking, he's a banter vacuum.
What's a banter vacuum? Oh, yeah.
Like, if there's anything fun going on, I feel like if he approaches, he just vacuums up all the good energy because he just comes over with a fuck you kind of fact. Did you know that Steven? And it's like, go and play with your calculator, Dawson. I don't know, like Pacey would never be friends with him in real life because, Pacey fucking gets pussy and fucking
from teachers
and shit, and
granted we
goes
are only
night
on
clubbing.
season 2.
He's probably gonna do coke and shit. Yeah, no, we're not on season 3, am I?
Are we really?
No, I don't know.
We don't even know. It doesn't even matter.
But it was episode 2, season 1 was the one where Dawson asks his dad for kissing advice.
Oh yeah,
and it's an insane scene.
Yeah,
because then Dawson starts practicing kissing on a paper mache doll while his dad watches, and it's. If I could rewrite it, his dad would just go, "Now suck my dick, Dawson."
Yeah, well, I mean,
because that's where it was going, and it just, it's nostalgia. It's a simpler time.
It is a simpler time with bad fashion, really horrible outfits. Every time I see people pop on that screen, I'm like,
it's all about homework and trying to get pussy, but being respectful.
It's all. I don't. They actually. Well, we just watched that You know, that episode where they all went to this mansion to cram for a fucking English test.
And
then,
Jen's a bit of a dirt bird as well. Like.
Yeah.
She's been around the block a few times. Like she used to get
she's
pounded.
from New York.
She used to get pounded in New York.
Yeah, but now they
like
have
4 or 5 black guys at one time.
But don't you remember
that story?
No, don't remember that storyline. I think that episode was omitted. But well, okay. Before I say this, they had that like montage of them studying.
Yeah.
But they're like playing pool, and then they jump in the pool with their clothes on, and it's this whole fucking thing.
They order pizza and they have a book in their hand.
And then they have sex at one point.
Well, Jen does.
Well, they don't have an orgy. That would have been 120 Days of Sodom instead. But yeah, and then the test was canceled, so then they fall asleep on the football field.
Yeah.
Like, yo, you're at
Which the only person who should be falling asleep is Jen, because she got absolutely busted out the night before.
That guy did not bust her out. Did you see him?
I don't know. What did it imply? She woke up in the bed next to him.
Yeah, but they showed the used condom wrapper. The condom wrapper that had been opened. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she did have sex.
Yeah, but I don't think that, 26-year-old playing a 16-year-old pounded her.
I don't know. His choker was on pretty tight.
Yeah, so he busted fast.
Everyone's got chokers.
Yeah, I mean, it was the night. Yeah, his like little sister.
It's pre 9/11, and everyone has chokers. It's a completely different world.
I know. It's like innocent BDSM.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like haha, Claire's. Where you go to choke yourself.
I mean, the good thing about Joey is because she's kind of like white trash.
Yeah, you relate?
No, I'm more like Dawson, really, except for the
No,
autism.
you're not.
Yeah, I am.
You think you're like
I'm
Dawson?
I'm like Pacey.
Dawson's the worst. Are you serious? We've been ragging on him for weeks, and
No, I'm just thinking about my fucking
weeks, I don't even know.
social, financial standing in society would be more Dawson than Joey.
Dawson's mom is on a
news
newscaster,
anchor,
and his
not only
dad,
that, but she's a dirt bird. She's whoring it with the weatherman.
She's a slutty news
Was it
anchor.
the weatherman? It is the weatherman.
I don't know. Your co-anchor? Who cares?
No,
it's made up.
Some sort of weatherman joke about
the place isn't even real where the show is. It's like
there's a lot of black people for rural Boston.
There were like 2 black people.
No, there's a lot of black people
in the show.
Just in the background, they're not going to give them full roles. It's still the 90s.
Yeah, well, I can think of one.
There's no gay characters in the show, is there?
No, yes there is, but it hasn't happened yet. See, that's one thing I
because there's been a lot of gay jokes. Some of them kind of funny.
Yeah,
well,
but
when you're watching something like this, just watching the way it's been 20 years, isn't it? 20 years.
It's been a while.
20
Who
plus
fucking
years.
knows? Honestly, I don't even know how old I am.
But yeah, the references were like, your life would be ended these days if you had broadcast anything like that on mainstream media.
Yeah, but do you remember there was that episode where they were like discussing the formula for how to create like some romantic comedy, and it was like breaking the fourth wall because it was like the formula to create Dawson's Creek.
It was Pacey saying it, and he was describing himself about saying whimsical, pointless things, setting a scene.
Yeah.
And then it's like almost to look at the camera, and I was like, this show's kind of clever.
Yeah. Could you imagine? I mean, exactly writing for that and being like,
But mostly it is about erections and boats.
Yeah, which I wish, honestly, that's when you know you've made it, when your life is just about your boner.
I don't know who they have problems. They have kind of a perfect little life there, don't they?
Boners and boating.
Yeah. Getting railed on the yacht.
And then going and taking a test.
Yeah, there hasn't been any. No one's got pregnant and no one's got AIDS.
Not yet.
So.
But we still have time. We got enough of lockdown left, and we still got.
If Dawson's Creek was new, this in 2021, none of the kids would have genders at all, and they would all. I don't know.
What would the theme song be? Can I just say? Okay. Also, really fucked up. If you haven't watched, if you have, you know. If you haven't, you don't know. They. And then extensive reading went into figuring this out. Whoever decided not to license the iconic theme song, I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. You know, they didn't want to fucking, and that's my impression of that. They didn't want to license it. Which for me, honestly, like as we're watching this, that's half the show for me, hearing that fucking theme song. Because I almost care significantly less without hearing that theme song, which was so like on point with that show. And then, yeah, they didn't want to pay the licensing fee. The woman who wrote the theme song has said that at the time she was upset because people only knew her for the theme song, but that she was grateful because the money she made off of it helped put food in her daughter's mouth and asthma treatment.
And was that her one song she ever wrote? Like that was
I think
success?
I think so.
No, it is a good song.
But now she's like, I'm sort of pissed because you basically, all I'm known for is that, but now you won't license it again.
And suddenly her daughter has become hungry again.
Well, she had asthma. She's probably dead from corona.
She's making a 600-pound life.
Christ. Yeah. So they used what they were gonna have the theme song be, which you really like, and I personally think is one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life.
I like the new theme song.
And so it's really,
you can't even hum it though. It doesn't even have a hook.
It doesn't. It's not a song. It's like
it is it's music.
It's like whining to me.
It's just music for the boardwalk with some teenagers.
Dude, not even. I don't think
it suits the show though. It
does not for me.
How
I guess like it's sort of, that's the thing is the iconic theme song. I think the iconic theme song elevated it, and you're right. I guess it suits the show. The new theme song is as bad as the show actually is. But I don't like being reminded of that because it makes me feel more pathetic viewing it for a second time. I actually didn't watch Dawson's Creek when it was airing. I think I was just a little too young.
Dawson's Creek happened before school shootings became popular.
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
because that would definitely be a good Dawson's Creek episode.
Maybe there is an episode.
Dawson would be the kind of guy who, after I think Joey dumped him the second time, would. If I was to rewrite the show in 2021, this is where he would lock himself in his room and he would get out of...
When his parents are getting a divorce.
Yeah, they're gone. His mom is literally banging a guy.
Well, they tried the open marriage.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would be... Dawson would shoot
Dawson
up the
would,
100%.
Yeah, but first he would get back, he'd get into Kubrick instead of Spielberg or something, and he wouldn't, he would not leave his room. And they'd put him on Zoloft.
You're giving him too much credit. I don't think he wouldn't...
He would be on the dark web looking up ISIS beheading videos. He
wouldn't even. He's too basic. He'd be on Reddit. He'd be on the most basic Reddit. Yeah,
but he's so autistic that he would be
autistic. Yes.
Yeah, just putting an AR-15 together in his bedroom for a couple of hours, looking at pictures of Joey scratching her eyes out.
Yeah. Or Jen or whoever is the. And the fact that he's raking in any amount of pussy disturbs me.
It's a different time, though.
Even then, I was never so yeah, I didn't watch it when it was on. I know I watched it all
Pacey
once.
has done.
I was always
about
Pacey.
3 or 4 Me Too situations.
Team Pacey.
Since in the first 2 seasons, but they're like microaggressions. He kisses someone they're not meant to be kissed or some shit.
Did he?
Jen, right, and in one of the scenes where they're filming.
I think they were whatever.
It doesn't matter if she wanted it. It was unannounced.
I don't even care. This is what's funny. Do you often revisit things? I know I've watched Dawson's Creek before, right? I watched it all. Not when it was airing, probably in college. I think I watched it around the same time I watched Felicity, all at once, right?
Just such a crossover between them, isn't it?
It's the WB shit.
What's WB mean?
Well, that was the channel I think they all aired on in America, the WB.
Where was Felicity based? Was she in New York?
New York. She went to college in New York.
Was she a fucking...
NYU.
She was a lawyer. A female lawyer.
No, she was a college student.
Wasn't Felicity the one where they're in
Ally McBeal you're thinking of. But yep, that was adult Felicity,
I can't believe these are different shows. And I can picture both of them. Ally McBeal was like a fucking not dyslexic, an anorexic.
She was an anorexic, in real life.
Felicity had a fucking... she was cultural appropriation. She was stealing the afro for a white chick.
She has curly hair.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, that's not what...
Either get the makeup to match the hair or fuck off.
Well, I remember, that was all a very specific time and place. I actually never watched Ally McBeal.
Where was Ally McBeal based?
I don't know. I don't remember. Chicago. I didn't watch it. That was adult. I had no interest because it was adult stuff. But maybe now I'm an adult and, I've got fuck all to do and my brain has turned to absolute mush and I have no money and I might as well.
After Dawson's Creek, you probably could revisit Ally McBeal.
Well, when you say revisit, that implies I ever visited to begin with. I did not. So
you didn't watch?
I did once watch Dawson's Creek as a whole, and I don't remember a single thing, really. I do remember, like you said, there's no gay characters. I do remember that there is one. And
I think it's ahead of its time, honestly.
But I guess what I'm saying, do you ever revisit things? I don't often. I'm always like, yeah, I've seen it. And then as we're watching it, I realize I remember none of this. So
The Simpsons,
a lot of people,
just when it's on.
But a lot of people actively revisit things. They reread books. I like never reread books. And then we've talked about this, like, I don't even remember the details of some of my favorite books.
It doesn't matter. I could revisit something and it would be all new to me because I don't have that kind of memory. So I probably should just revisit it. I should probably just have 4 books maybe and we should watch 3 shows.
And just cycle
them through, yeah.
I've noticed that my attention span
is ruined, destroyed.
It really is. Last night when we sat down to kind of watch that Wim Hof thing, because again, I'm just sort of grasping. I'm pretty much grasping at anything because I'll tell you right now, drugs don't work anymore at all. Right? Would you say fair?
Yes.
Yeah. Drugs don't work.
No, we did them all. I mean, we completed them.
Yeah.
We were toying with heroin for a while.
I mean, well, yeah, because I was like...
We were about 2 weeks away from heroin for sure.
I basically would rather, feel good, and if I don't die, then great, and if I do, then, problem solved.
I have a feeling I could do heroin and kind of still be kind of productive.
I'm going to go ahead and
I'd have to stop
doubt that.
I'd have to stop drinking, I think.
Yeah. But also, this is not... that is truly, to be honest, like how bleak it has gotten. And I consider myself a really resilient person. And I'm just sort of like, I could give you a nice long list of reasons why it makes sense to not struggle to continue for, to be in this world anymore. But, trying a new thing, trying to turn it around. So we watched that, Vice documentary, which that guy, first of all, he
sucked.
He did suck.
He was shit. But Wim Hof is cool as fuck.
Wim Hof is cool. The guy reminds me.
He was like Dawson. He was a fucking autistic kid with too much fucking to say and not enough life experience.
He reminds
all facts,
me
no substance.
Of 2 people I know combined, but they're not like him at all. Anyway, yeah, and it's fucking Vice, but I watched it and I was like, all right, I'll give this a shot because clearly, I'll do anything right now. And basically, as we were watching it, I was like, I want to pick up my phone and play solitaire while I watch this, and
you can't.
Well, I realized I pretty much never focus on one thing anymore. Ever. And I don't know if I was different prior to the pandemic or if this is just because I've sort of been fight or flight mode for so long.
No, it definitely made it worse. You never would have thought you would be so fucking ingrained in technology more so. Because we definitely, before this, I wasn't as dependent on...
No.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, no, it's ruined everyone's brain.
Well, I mean, but I was watching the documentary... And then I was feeling myself having thoughts. So I'm staring at the TV, watching it. And then I was thinking about other things. And I'm like, I've had a couple people be like, do you have ADHD? And I'm like, are we really doing this? Are you a fucking doctor? And maybe I do. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to add on another fucking ailment that I need to deal with right now. And, or
I don't
perhaps...
know. I mean, labels are actually good these days.
Yeah,
especially a mental health label. That will get you...
What will that get me? I'm not even allowed to go outside.
I'm thinking about when comedy comes back. I'm not going to be able to get much on stage, so I might, pretend to be one of those nutcases.
I don't think you're going to have to pretend after the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm already mentally ill.
Compared to other people, you and I have been isolated all but 6 weeks of over a year now. I don't feel
I don't want to wait
normal.
for my life.
I don't think you feel normal. I mean, you know?
That's where the theme song should be. Just constantly playing in our apartment as we sit staring at the wall.
Yeah, maybe that'll fix everything. But yeah, I was just noticing I think it's just my flight or fight response is like, I mean, I wake up ready for bad news. That's how I wake up every day. And sure enough, I seem to get bad news. And then I start thinking about like The Secret and like the law of attraction, and you attract things, but it's like, you know, I'm not always expecting it. It's just things end up having to be bad. Like I truly didn't think Venmo was going to just take $1,000 from me and not tell me why, and not give me an opportunity to defend myself, even though I've sent them messages and paperwork and whatever. I truly didn't believe that was like going to be
Venmo is like the number one, I think, financial network that people use to trade child porn and I think trafficking. I think it's all Venmo transactions. Yeah. So I think that you like if you do have money in Venmo, you're kind of like you've got blood in your hands at this stage. If you
Interesting.
If you don't take it out.
Yeah. Well, if you got money in Venmo, they can steal it, or not. They can steal it. Somebody can file a claim and take their money that they've paid you back, and you have little to no recourse. And you know, they don't really care. I don't know if I mentioned that I couldn't file a police report. Yeah, so it's like, you know, it's just, yeah. I'm hoping that if I hyperventilate a la the Wim Hof method, followed by really getting into yoga again, because I've been doing it, but I found a way to power through concentrating on breathing. And so I can still think while I'm doing yoga, which is not, I think, the purpose of it. But, just really, I don't know. There's a lesson here somewhere, I guess. There's a growing period here.
Huge lesson here.
Stop using Venmo.
Stop using Venmo.
That is a lesson here.
Ally McBeal and Felicity are two different people. I just can't.
And Ally McBeal and Felicity are two different people. Yes, that is another lesson here. And is there any other lessons we want to?
I don't know.
You know what I noticed? This is not a lesson so much as just an observation, and maybe being a man. And have you noticed?
I'm not a man.
Cum, like from your dick, right? Like when it's on your skin, even when you like wash it in the shower, if you don't like actively scrub it off, like it doesn't just wash off with water. In fact, it acts like as an adhesive and remains on your skin unless you like very actively like sort of rub it off.
I don't know. I know someone who's probably going to spend $1,000 on Rent Boys who might know.
Oh yeah, the guy who used to rent my apartment. Yeah, he might know. You know, I had this teacher once named Mrs. Sybil.
Her name was Mrs. Sybil.
Or Miss Sybil. She was divorced, of course. And she was an English teacher, and I remember very little from her class, but I do remember she told us all one day, I think she said she leaves the door to her home unlocked and her car unlocked.
She told a class full of kids.
Yes. Well, and we all asked her why. And she said, because if somebody wants to break in to do, you know, whatever they're going to do, they're probably in more need of whatever I have than I am or whatever. And I'll put
crazy stance.
Well, it might be, but it sat with me, right? You know, I remember nothing from English class, but I do remember that. And I do think about that sometimes, you know, when these people, like all this year, the various things that have happened where from a variety of directions, in a variety of ways, we've been either attacked, taken advantage of, or in this instance, stolen from. You know, I kind of like revisit that, you know, I'm like, well, if this person is doing what they're doing, they're obviously in a worse position than I am. But then on the other side of that coin, I'm kind of like, well, why am I expected to be strong enough for everybody, you know, or all these people? But whatever, let's not go there. The point is, I think about that sometimes. So I guess this man who was renting the room in my apartment, in spite of the fact I haven't worked for a year, in spite of the fact that I cannot collect unemployment in America, in spite of the fact that we're in a lockdown that's been going on for more than a year, and I've had to give up my entire life in New York and my stuff. And I did get some of my stuff in the mail, so I did, you know, use the stimulus money that I got to have some of my things shipped here to me, and they did arrived this month. So after a year without any of my belongings, I do have my things, and I guess I should be grateful for that. I'm kind of like back to there. But I guess in spite of all that, that man needed that $1,000 more than I did, I guess. I'm grasping at anything to make it okay.
We should look up what's the most expensive dildo, and maybe that's what he's going to try and get up his ass.
I thought you were going to say, and then we should buy it for him. And I'm like, okay. I'm like,
that would really
that's
confuse,
a weird flex.
That would really confuse
have it
someone.
sent to his job,
To his job.
Yeah. And then, and I think the rough part, it's like, I don't know what he sort of peddled at his job went down. I'm trying to imagine. I'm sure that wasn't a great situation for him. It's not an ideal situation for anybody, but it's just like funny that there are these strangers that I do not know in the world that are like, that think I'm a piece of shit. And this is barring all the other people that we've somehow come across this year who also think I'm a piece of shit because I didn't like, what they were doing. I don't know. It's just, there's something, if I believed in God, I would be like, oh, God's trying to teach me a lesson, but I don't believe in God, but I'm sure there's a lesson here somewhere.
We got handed a Bible today, didn't we?
But we did get handed a Bible today.
So that's a good sign, isn't it?
I don't know.
Actually, if you think about it, since you've been so godless lately, and then that lady...
Lately? You mean my entire life?
Your entire life. And then that lady,
I know,
emerged out of nothing. Did you see her coming? It looked like she walked out of the wall.
I don't even know. We were what, a block and a half from our apartment? Really? Yeah. And we were carrying our groceries because we didn't bring a bag because we forgot. And obviously, who the fuck's paying 20p for a bag when we're scared about, how we're going to pay our electric bill. But, so we're just carrying it. And then she was like, do you need a bag? And I was like, oh no, it's okay. We're like almost home. And it was okay. We were almost home. But she insisted. And then what did she do? She said, do we go to church? And I was
then leaflets came out. But at this stage, I had already decided that whatever she's going to hand us, I was just going to take.
Yeah, me too.
And then, look at it like I might be, because she was nice and she wanted to think that she was getting, new people for the Savior or whatever. I guess it's Easter. Yeah,
she was like, it is Easter Sunday. She's like, my church is over there. Yeah. And then she's like, do you go to church? And I was like, haven't been for a while. I feel like one of the last times I was at church, this was actually really great. I hated church. It was not for me when I realized people actually believe in this stuff. And if you do, live your truth. But for me, I was just like, this is not my path. I remember, how daylight savings time happens? Mm-hmm. So we always went, when I was a little kid, to the late service. We weren't early morning people.
Yeah. So
and
what,
it was 11
yeah,
or something.
Yeah, that's what time my family go to mass.
Yeah. Well, and my mom used to babysit the next door neighbor boy, Jonathan. He was a little bit younger than me. And so
Did Jonathan have glasses?
No. His little sister did,
though. Hair?
No. But he did have a pink cast.
Okay, that's enough for me.
He had a pink cast. So because they moved, I think, to Hawaii, and we moved to California from Reno, and we got one letter from them, and he had a pink cast, and I know
someone who'd like to shove that up their ass.
Well, okay, two things. Yeah, I did once dress him and myself up. We were supposed to be getting ready for school, and I put us in ballerina costumes instead. And my mom took the photos, and his dad lost his mind. And who knows? But I did Google Jonathan once, and he had a bad review. Apparently, his dad was a pilot. His mom was a care flight attendant. He became a pilot, but had a review for Hawaiian Airlines saying that he's a drug addicted pilot, all this crazy bad shit. And Hawaii's big on meth too. So I was like, wow, maybe Jonathan and I had the same hobbies as teenagers. Who knows? But anyway, my mom took Jonathan and I to church one day. She, got us up, dragged us out, put us in the clothes. We're both hating it. And we got there, and she went to open the door, and the church was locked.
Oh, wow.
And she was confused and then she realized that daylight savings had happened and it had jumped an hour, and she forgot to set her clocks because this was before cell phones, were a thing and whatever. And I remember we began to cheer. We were like, hooray, and hooray, high-fiving. And she was like, stop that, in front of the church. She's like, stop it, stop cheering, stop laughing. We were so happy we didn't have to go to church that day. So yeah, I think that was one of the last times I went to church, and this lady, she's like, "Do you guys have a Bible at home?" And then we both just stumbled. It's been so long since I've talked to a stranger or people, and it's been so long since I've had to like very politely lie about something to get out of it. So we were both just like, "Oh yeah," like we're just stumbling over the lie.
Well, I said yes, we do, and then you were like, "No, we don't."
I didn't say no, we don't. I said yes. We got one from his parents.
Yeah,
That's something.
And then I looked at her and I said a Quran, and I winked at her.
And I think I sort of muttered, he's Irish Catholic, like, and she like you could see her. I saw it in her eyes. She knew we were lying, and then she gave us a Bible, and now we have a Bible, and she wasted the Bible on us, and now I feel bad about that.
It's not a waste at all. No way. The amount of like doodling I can do in that Bible.
I feel bad. That should have gone to somebody.
And pentagrams.
Like, maybe she could sense that we could use it, but the thing is if I haven't turned to God now, it's not happening. Like...
You just haven't picked the right God, I'm telling you.
Well, I thought ketamine was it, but it's not.
Yeah, well, heroin.
Well, next paycheck.
Imagine just getting addicted to heroin and we just watch all of Felicity and Ally McBeal back to back.
And that actually sounds like a good time. And then we go into... I mean, who's going to be sucking dick for the heroin? Because I'm exhausted from all the stuff that's happened. I'm ready for, I don't know, but I think, Wim Hof.
We just need a big, we'll have to start doing Venmo scams, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, I tried to file a claim for the security deposit I refunded this guy, and Venmo denied me that. So I've been denied across the board. I'm not allowed to have the $1,000 of me selling all of my stuff in New York.
So Wim Hof would make you better at doing bongs.
Bong rips?
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Definitely
because your
would.
lung capacity.
Definitely would.
But anyway, you wanna shout out to the 4 people who support us on Patreon.
Kev, Sinead.
Damo
and Niall.
Yep. Kev, Sinead, Damo, and Niall. Thank you.
Thank you
for your contributions to us.
To us.
And
to our heroin into it.
Yeah, because that's next time.
Heroin.
Next time, I mean, we're not. I don't even know where to start.
Is Frasier? No, I don't want to watch Frasier on heroin. I think Frasier on OxyContins.
First of all, Frasier is brilliant, and that's a whole other episode. Just say goodbye.
Okay, well, it's all 90s shit I'm talking about. Oh yeah, goodbye, good night, good luck, God bless.